So, Star Wars Dark Forces. This was a wild ride for me, especially the last entry in this trilogy. After playing the entire Dark Forces series, I have to say I finally understand why I never finished Mysteries of the Sith when I was 12. But let's not skip ahead. I will first talk about the Dark Forces game, which I unfortunately had to play as a remaster, because the original was so unstable on my system it became unplayable, especially in later levels. Then, I will talk a bit about Dark Forces 2 and the Mysteries of the Sith. Especially because these two games are, from my point of view, fundamentally different. Dark Forces 2 changes its style noticeably halfway, and Mysteries of the Sith is very different from the very start. Dark Forces was released in 1995 and was one of the first FPS games to use the Star Wars license. This game was built on a modified Doom engine, but it introduced something that was rarely seen at that time in FPS games: verticality. You can look up and down, and the levels are designed with multiple floors, which was quite a big deal back then. The gameplay is Doom-like at heart and follows the same kind of run and shoot gameplay, but with this added verticality it feels fresh. The original game was a bit rough around the edges, especially with controls, but the remaster fixed most of these issues while keeping the core experience intact. The story follows Kyle Katarn, a former Imperial officer turned mercenary, who goes on a rampage against the Empire after they betray him. It is basically a Rebel Alliance John Wick story. Kyle kills hundreds of Imperials in his path until he takes down the top dog, General Mock, and destroys his Dark Trooper production facility, shutting down the Empire's robot soldier production. The story, while simple, is solid and fun to play through.
This is an unfortunate setback. The Force is strong with Katarn.
The next game in the sequence is Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. The original version of Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 is surprisingly stable on modern systems, even on Linux. The game starts by returning to the original formula of Dark Forces, with improved gunplay that feels better even in the original version. However, the game introduces more platforming, which I am not a fan of. It seems like the life of a Jedi involves a lot of jumping around and crawling over pipes and other bullshit. What I am saying, that by the standards of this game, Mario is a Jedi. You get the lightsaber early in the game, but it feels clunky to use. The only real benefit is that it one-hit kills most enemies, which gives it at least some utility. The Force powers are well-rounded, and most of them are useful throughout the game. And the story is very good. Kyle is searching for his father, then, with the help of his father's data disk, he deciphers the secret of the Valley of the Jedi. The location of the valley is the main plot point. The antagonists are inventive, and the cutscenes are a great addition to the story. I've always liked this kind of cutscenes, ever since I played this game and others like Tiberian Sun, for example. It feels like you are playing throughout a small movie. And here is where the music stops. Now we are going to talk about Mysteries of the Sith. Mysteries of the Sith is also stable on modern systems, even on Linux. However, the gameplay is completely different from my point of view. I don't enjoy platforming and puzzles much, and this game is all about platforming and puzzles, many of which require the use of specific Force powers. There are occasional straight shooting sections which I think are there to soothe the player's mind. Some of the levels broke me emotionally and spiritually because they are all about platforming and puzzles. I felt like I was the one who found the Sith temple and let the dark spirits torment me. It literally took me 14 days to force myself to finish the last level. And the last pain point, the game lacks cutscenes. And the in-game animations are goofy as hell. There are a couple of scenes that stand out, but overall, it's all a step down from the Dark Forces 2 in terms of presentation. In this game, you take on the role of Mara Jade, a character from the Star Wars Legends books. Throughout the game, there are a lot of name drops and enemies from the Trilogy book series. Talon Karrde is mentioned, and you encounter Isalamiri, Nogri and Vornskers. The story is somewhat disjointed. The first half of the game is basically Mara gallivanting around the galaxy on random missions before she realizes she hasn't heard from Kyle Katarn in a while. Kyle went to explore ancient Sith ruins on Dromun Khas and went silent. The final 3 levels are set on this planet. Mara's job is to save Kyle from himself. I particularly like the idea that you defeat the final boss, Kyle, by not fighting him in the end. From a story perspective, it is a great touch. The story basis is very good, and the difference between the straightforwardness of Dark Forces 2 and the mysteries of the Sith, which forces you to think about it at least a bit, reminds me of the difference between the stories of Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2.
What's going on, Kyle? When you located the temple, why didn't you report in?
Because when I found the temple, I found a part of me which I couldn't deny. I found a greater source of power than I had ever known.
Here in these ruins?
Don't judge with your eyes, Mara. Reach out with the Force. Sense the power of the Sith around you. Accept it.
No! I sense only evil and death. Kyle, we have to get you away from here.
I have chosen my destiny, and it lies here. Because of our friendship, I offer you the chance to leave, but do not persist in pursuing me. If you do, I will not be responsible for the consequences.
Kyle, wait! I don't like the look of this, but there's no other way.
If you choose to continue, your Jedi powers will fail you, and you will walk alone.
To sum it up, the games are cheap and you can usually get all of them at once. All 3 games can be got as remasters as well, if you consider the original graphics too dated. The story in the games is solid, and playing through them just to know what comes next is satisfying. The second and third games are not your standard Doom clones. I would say this kind of gameplay is unique to the Jedi Knight games. And when I get to Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, you will see that the later games really leaned into this.
Step on the path that lies before you. Join me, and together we will restore the Sith to its former glory.
No, that will never happen. I will kill you if I must, but I sense that you will not make that necessary.
There is no conflict, only resolve. The path of your destiny is now set, and you have but 2 choices. Cross the bridge before you and join me, or maintain your pitiful faith in the Force by stepping off into oblivion and death. You are foolish, and for that you will die! I can't! No! I won't do this! This is not the way. It asks too much of me. I can't kill my friends and allies.
No, you can't. Trust in your feelings.
I was deluded too easily. I thought I could control the power. Instead, I lost myself to it. I have failed.
You haven't failed, Kyle.
So now I suppose you're the teacher and I'm the student.
May the Force be with you, and see you next time.